Hello again. Welcome to Inspired Voices with Sangwa Dispiwe. Come here today. I've got another guest on my segment of Inspired Voices. Oh, I'm telling you, today is gonna be exciting, exciting. Yeah, with this amazing young lady, Jackie Mgido. Jackie is a makeup artist. She's more than just like putting on lipstick and stuff. She's going to talk to us about the kind of stuff that she does in Hollywood. And this is a girl from from your hood who is now working in Hollywood, talking and rubbing shoulders with the real people, the real Hollywood stars. And so, Jackie, thank you so much for agreeing to come to my podcast to talk about the work that you're doing.
Thank you. This is what a welcome. First of all, I love the fact that you called me young lady.
Of course. Everybody wants to be called young lady, that's for sure.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. I'm like, yes, I'm a young lady.
Of course, of course. So, Jackie, tell me, this platform is really we invite guests to talk about the work that they're doing and to amplify their voices in whatever they are doing. And I call it ordinary people who are doing amazing stuff,
Mhm.
amazing work. And I think what you're doing, it's something that the ordinary person can't even imagine. We see Hollywood, we see it on television, and we just don't. I don't know a real person that I can actually touch and who lives out there and does this thing, right? But that's where you
Yes.
work. Tell me
Mhm.
about yourself. Where did Jackie come from? I mean, where did you come from to end up in Hollywood?
So, first, let me introduce myself. I am Jacqueline Muchanyuka is my maiden name, and Mgido is my married name. I left Zimbabwe 30 somewhat years ago, but I'm rooted in Zimbabwe. I am from Harare. I was born in Harare, lived in Tinwald, grew up in Tinwald, and decided to have this crazy dream when I came here to become a vet in America. And my husband and I saw the talent that I had in terms of makeup and hair and decided, you know what? What if I have a dream to work in Hollywood? What if I become a makeup artist, not only that does beauty makeup, but at the same time also does special effects makeup? And that is really where it began.
Okay, you said it. When people want to say I'm a makeup artist, all they think of is a lip gloss and and I whatever, yeah, your eyeshadows and your
Yes.
that kind of stuff. That's what we think of, but you are bigger than that. We are going to segment this. We're going to talk um about the work that you do, the bigger
Mhm,
picture, okay,
mhm, mhm.
studio and theater makeup,
Theatrical makeup.
that kind of stuff. Yeah, what do they call it?
So I do special effects makeup.
Special
Um,
effects makeup. Yeah, we'll
yes.
talk about that, and then
Okay.
later on, we want to go to hey, looking good. Every girl wants to look good, and there
A
is no question about
hundred
that.
and 10%.
No
So
matter how educated you are, you still gotta look good. Because
yes.
I'm all about going to school and looking, being educated is very important. But no man has been ever seen putting his hand under your dress to look for a library card. So let's talk about this. This is John Rivers who said that. So let's talk about looking good. So talk
I
about.
absolutely love that. It's the funniest thing.
I mean, really. So talk to me about what do you do in Hollywood? Talk to me about that because you said you moved from Tinold and then you
Mhm.
decided to go to the States. And when you got
Yes.
to the States, how did give me the progression, how it moved?
Okay, so I'm going to rewind a little bit so people can kind of grasp the concept because it's very difficult to really understand exactly what I do, how I came to this. And a lot of times I like to explain it because I want it to be something that you can touch, especially for whoever's watching this and wants to be inspired. Because a lot of times people are like, oh, she's in Hollywood, she TK, and I
Hmm.
don't want that. I want people to actually visualize. So when I was in Zimbabwe, one of the things that I promised myself, I was a very insecure girl. And I remember being very dark or being dark at home especially being a young kid, was very kind of frowned upon. Remember, people that were dark were considered not so good looking. People that were light were considered very good looking. So even as a kid, I felt so insecure that I wanted to transform myself. And because I used to be able to draw, I kind of figured I would watch my mom putting on makeup, and all of a sudden she just became alive. And I remember Kubi Chaza. I don't know if you guys
Hmm.
remember Kubi. She was my
I know.
hero. As a kid, she would always sell these lotions and whatnot
Mhm.
to make you look good. And she actually had makeup then, back then. And I would say to myself, if I
Well,
could,
well, when you say back then, you're talking about back when. We're not talking about, yeah, talk about back. I know 1980 is back then, now.
right. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm talking about the 90s, right? Because we
Mhm.
still used to talk about Kubi Chaza then, and my mom would talk about Kubi Chaza. My mom would make herself look really great. And she did something very simple. It was for her because at that time that's what they had that was accessible
Mhm.
to them. It was always liner. She did her
Mhm.
eyebrows all the time. I actually posted a picture of her when she was in her 20s and she had liner. She did the liner, the pencil, and then the black pencil, and then
Mhm.
black liner and gloss and a little bit of powder because that's what they knew.
Of course.
Just those little things, how she transformed herself. Oh my gosh, that put me on a different level. And then, so when I came to the States and I was working as a hairstylist, nobody really concentrated on makeup until I saw Oprah. I saw Oprah do a before and after. That changed my life completely because I saw how Oprah looked like before. And
Mhm.
then when the makeup artist put the makeup and completely transformed her, it clicked. I said, that's what I want to
Yeah.
do. I want to make women feel that amazing. And this is why, even though I've been in the States for 30 years, I started a makeup brand in Zimbabwe 15 years ago. And that's why I'm bi-coastal. Like, I mean, I say bi-coastal, but I go to Africa and come back all the time because it's that transformation in women that can completely change their lives. And that is why makeup is so important. It's not about lipstick, it's not about blush. It's about transforming someone into believing that they can do anything they want to do by looking the part, even if they don't feel the part.
I mean, no, everybody wants to look good. Everybody
Mhm.
wants to look good. And I remember, I think I was in college when I read something, I can't remember who. He said there are actually
Mhm.
very few truly ugly women.
Oh, yeah.
What
I
are
don't,
truly ugly. They are very, very few. I don't know who that is because I don't want to be part of that. Those truly ugly, because any any woman can transform themselves. They can look different.
oh my God, absolutely. Well, the thing is this, I personally don't believe in the word ugly because that's why they always say there's somebody for you somewhere out there. I
Yeah, it's
believe,
relative. It's relative, and
right?
ugly. Like, what do you mean truly
What do
ugly?
you
Because I
mean?
saw it and I thought that is so weird because what you might think it's ugly, it might not be. Again, that's when colorism comes into
Oh,
play. People think
100%.
women who are fair skinned, they're prettier, and women who are dark skinned, they are not. My
They're
mother
not
was
so
dark
pretty.
skinned, and to me, she was the most beautiful woman. So
Oh, I love that.
that statement is an ugly thing. It's an ugly thing
Right.
to say, actually, that they're truly ugly. But I
Right.
think what I know what they meant, that
Oh,
anybody can look different.
anybody can look different. Anybody, like, I think for me being an artist, when I look at any woman, and especially women that don't feel that they look at what society deems beautiful, and they completely say, I don't like makeup. I don't like what they're doing because it just makes me look completely different and it doesn't make me look like me. Those are the women that I love because then that's when I educate them and say, you're supposed to be wearing the makeup for you, not for the other party, right? Let's see how we can bring out your features because that's what makeup is. Makeup is there to enhance the things that are disappearing slowly and you cannot see them as much as you used to see them when you were a teenager. That's really
And
what
they
makeup
are.
is.
And
Yeah.
tell me, ask me, they do disappear. They do. The older you get, and you're like, what happened there? What's
Well,
going on with that?
yeah, and let me tell you, age plays a big part, health plays a big part, right? And just like daily life, how you live play a big part. All those things can dim your light and can draw things back in, and you
Mhm.
won't be able to see them. This is where makeup comes and helps you out, right? You start seeing all those features by enhancing the very things that are missing on your face when you were younger, where people actually recognized you because they could see all your features.
I know. And it took you 2 minutes to take a shower, and you're like, and you're out. Now, honey, you got to say a prayer, and you got to like start early in the morning and test things up. And, I, that's what
Absolutely.
happened.
Yeah, that's really what, because when you're younger, everything is stern and it's like brand new. When things are brand new, you're not gonna do a lot of things to it, right? Because you can see the color of your outfit, you can see the shape of your outfit, and depending how you look after that outfit, how you wash it, how you hang it, how you place it in your closet, it determines how long that thing is going to last. So by the time you want to wear it, it doesn't look the part that it was.
That's tough. That's true. That's so true. But then, before we talk about the foundation and the lipstick, the whatever, the skin is it's a canvas. How then? Where do we start? I would like to think one has to, like you said, it takes about how you eat, how you exercise, and how you treat yourself and take care of it. Tell us, walk us, and looking good for the dummies. Where do we start?
Okay, so let's go into Hollywood, right? Why are we as makeup artists asked to come and transform an actor, right? I always say we basically give confidence to the actor to act the part that they're doing, right? And then when you, the audience, watch the movie, you disappear and you forget that that person is that individual by the character that we give them. Okay. So when it comes to us, day to day life, one of the biggest things before you even start putting on makeup, you need to understand why you are wearing makeup, right? So people always run to foundation first. Oh, I need to put foundation on. But guess what? If your skin is beautiful, why are you putting on foundation? Concentrate on one of those things that you are a little bit insecure about. Maybe your eyes don't really pop, right? So guess what? You need to concentrate on lashes. You need to concentrate on eyeliner. So your eyes can what? Can pop and somebody can recognize you, right? Maybe you don't have eyebrows left anymore, right? So that is the one thing that you need to concentrate on, because the biggest thing for anybody that doesn't put on makeup is not understanding why they're putting on makeup. Once you understand that, once you look at the things that you are feeling insecure about, then everything else makes sense. So next time you go into a store and you want to know about makeup and you're feeling very insecure, look at yourself in the mirror and think to yourself, what did I used to have as a child that I loved so much? So look at your picture, put it side by side, and then if you start seeing, oh man, my lips are kind of disappearing, or I don't see my eyes anymore, I don't see my brows anymore, walk into a store and say, listen, when I was younger, I was able to see my lips. If you have a great makeup artist that's an expert, they're not going to rush you into putting on foundation. No, they're going to go and concentrate on the very thing that you are feeling into. And then that then builds onto everything else. So you won't feel intimidated.
Yeah, I know, but and honestly, I mean, the older people get, sometimes you can't remember what you look like. I mean, sometimes you run into a picture of, I run into a picture of me at 21, and I'm like, what happened? Who is that? What happened? Because with age, all that kind of like vanishes, and you become
Yes.
another person. And of course, you concentrate on some things that you're now good at, which maybe then you were just looking good, and
You know what? I want to point out at something that you just said. You become another person. No, you do not become another person. You are the very person that you are. It's just that there's certain things that are disappearing on you. That's why you don't recognize yourself. And this is where makeup helps.
okay.
You're not becoming another person. You are exactly the person that you are. It's just that there's certain things that are disappearing. So once you start adding onto that, you are the advanced of who you are and who you were at that time.
I want to go back to what I was talking about the taking care of the canvas that you're going to work on, right? Your eyes, your eyebrows, your the shape of your nose, maybe the shape of your lips. How do you enhance them so that you can bring out the best out of you?
Mhm.
How do you start? I mean, you're the one who works with people, even ordinary people who uh as you said, you walk into a shop and you tell them, look, I want something that can enhance my eyes or my eyebrows. If you're talking to just an average person, what
Mhm.
do you tell them other than what you just say, that you want to enhance things that are disappearing?
I tell them exactly that because that is the only way. Because if an ordinary person comes to me and says, Jackie, I don't put on makeup and I'm intimidated by makeup, where do I start? Again, you go back to the things, you look at your picture, you go back to like, I'm disappearing. If I'm a professional makeup artist, I'll see that maybe it's your eyebrows. Then I'll start educating you on your eyebrows. The easiest things to work on in order for you to enhance your features are your eyebrows. If you start on your eyebrows, everything else is amazing because eyebrows are very telling, right? You go into a doctor's office, he looks into your eyes. If you don't have eyebrows, there's a lot going on. It's either you are sick with something, when you've completely lost, you look sick. If you don't have eyebrows, there's a sickling effect that happens and you just don't look like yourself. So if you had to ask me and say, listen, I don't know anything about makeup, but if there's one thing that I need, and I will tell you, your eyebrows, unless you wear glasses because the frame will kind of like make things, that's why glasses frame your face, right? They adding on eyebrows to your face. If you don't have eyebrows, you look crazy.
Okay, I mean, again, as people age, you kind of lose that. And because way back when we were younger, we used to twist our eyebrows, and
Yes.
now that eyebrows are the thing, you ain't got
Yep.
nothing to put out there, so that becomes a problem, right? But
Right.
again, nothing that can be fixed.
But this is the thing though, you know what's so great about when you said eyebrows have become a thing, it people have discovered having eyebrows you actually see. So if you are a woman that works in an office, right? You've been tweezing your eyebrows and you have that one little line. If you are doing a presentation in front of people, because the average human is so used to seeing features on a person, that's how they see somebody, right? This is where that prettiness comes in. Because, like, for example, your nose. Did you know that your nose keeps growing? And when people want to look younger and go to a surgeon, the first thing that a surgeon does is trim your nose, and that can make you look 5 to 10 years younger. Just the nose alone, because your
I'm okay with
nose keeps
yeah.
expanding the older that you get, and sometimes it takes over your whole face. And
Oh,
then this
Jackie,
is
don't
why
put it like that. Don't make it like you've got a growth on your face, which just grows. I mean, your nose is for breathing, and
your nose is definitely for breathing, but it grows with age, right?
going where?
It just grows. Your nose keeps growing. It's just what it is. It's just nature. Like if you look at your nose when you were younger and you look at your nose, it just goes wider and wider and wider. It's just what it is, right? A lot of people don't recognize it, but you can look back at your pictures, you can see that your nose gets a little wider. So if that's why contouring is so great, because when you contour, then you're able to see the bridge of your nose. You'll be able to see somebody's eyes. When it's flat, when somebody looks at you, you can't see your eyes anymore.
Yeah.
That's why
Ooh,
contouring is amazing.
it takes time, though, I'm sure, to understand all that contouring that you got there. I don't know. I've never been good with that, because maybe I've never had anybody to walk me through how to contour my face, how to highlight my eyes in any way or any form. So, but it's interesting to know, one, that my nose grows, and it has grown. It has grown.
Uh-huh.
It has grown. wider and longer or whatever, and that, the contouring can make a difference. And I think it
Yes.
does, because I've seen people, who've got like cheeks which are highlighted in effectively or properly. And
Right.
you can't help but just look at them and say, how do they look like that, at all times?
I actually contoured.
Like yourself, like yourself,
Contoured. See?
you've got cheekbones which are there, and I'm sure you've had to work on that because you know how to do it, right?
Yes, because I look at my face and I think, what are those things? Like, for example, right now we are on camera. So I'm not a big lipstick person. I'm not big into red lipstick or whatever. Like, that's not my thing. So I know that if I'm on camera, sometimes when you don't have lips, you kind of disappear. So what I concentrated on were my lashes and my eyebrows and my cheeks, so that you, as the audience at home, will be able to actually see my features. Yeah.
You're, listen, all divas, inviting all divas to this fantastic talk that we're having here with Jackie, who is she's a specialist in that, facial makeup, and it's very interesting. And I think a lot of times, like you said earlier on, people don't pay much attention to it. It's just like, I am okay, but there's need to do that. There are
Yeah.
some
Like,
things.
go ahead. Sorry.
Because there are some little things that I see. You start getting facial hairs, and people don't do anything about it. I find it quite embarrassing, because you can't tell somebody that, what,
They've got
you can
facial
do
hair.
something. Mm-mm. You're not a
Yeah.
man, you're not going to have a goatee here, so yeah.
No,
Yeah, because, but then
no, it's true.
how do you tell a person, if you find a friend who's got, like, it can start just a little bit, and it can grow to be like a real thing. How do you look at yourself every morning and you're like, it's okay? But then how do you tell somebody to do something
So
about
you,
it?
so I love that you asked me that question, because I'll tell you a little story. Culture has to do a lot with it, and also just education. So a lot of times when you see women, and I'm talking about women who are either Black from Zimbabwe, or a lot of, like, sometimes African Americans that I hear, that I deal with. And the biggest thing that they say to me all the time, oh, if I take it off, it's going to come in double, right? And I see that that has been a myth for so many years. Like, if you shave, then it comes in a lot more, and people don't shave because of that. But what I always say to people is, hold on, if that was the case, don't you think every bald man out there, right, instead of them keeping that hair only at the back and the side,
Okay,
aren't you
little
just,
thing here, right here,
yeah,
right, just
don't you
was.
think they'll be just trimming everything so the hair can come in more? You have one follicle, it's not going to come in a double follicle. That's not how it happens, because every bald man would be cutting and cutting so that all the hair comes in. The reason why it feels like hair is coming in is because it's short. And when it's short, it's coarse, and it just makes it feel like there's a lot more
Yeah.
hair that's coming, but it's not coming in any more, crazier than it came in before. Now, mature, like, the older that you get, yes, you get a lot more hair, because we don't, we're missing estrogen, right?
Hmm.
So now you have a lot more testosterone that's coming in, and you're getting this hair that's coming in all the time. So in Zimbabwe, one of the things, when people come into the store, we do what we call threading. And threading is when you use a string to take off the hair so that it doesn't come in faster. And I remember we did this bride, and we took off all her hair, and she had this wedding. It was amazing. She loved it. And her husband was so upset at us that I remember getting a phone call. Yes, I remember getting a phone call from the aunt, and the aunt was like, we're really trying to talk to the husband, because he was so upset at seeing his wife with the hair taken off. He said he wants you to put back the hair. That's how upset he was. It was crazy. It was
What was
crazy.
the reasoning?
Because he believed that culturally his wife was supposed to have this hair. He saw her with the hair, and he wants her as natural as possible. Yeah, he loved her with the hair. Why is she changing, and who is she changing for?
But
So
that's
so
another story, because I think she has a right to do what she wants with her body. and
Right.
her, her face and whatever. You can't be going to consult somebody. Can I have my hair braided? Can I have my facial hair removed? I think that's ridiculous. And how are you supposed to put it back?
I know, I know. So he was mad, and that's how he was expressing himself. So like I had to tell the aunt, and I was like, you know what's so great? I love talking to husbands and men that don't really understand makeup, and I can understand the intimidation where you're looking at your wife completely changing, and you're thinking, oh my God, too many people are going to look at them. And I talk
Yeah.
to a lot of men in Zimbabwe
That's why
where
I'm saying it's another story. Yeah, because there's
I
some insecurity stuff happening there. It's got nothing to do with I want my wife being natural
no,
and whatever.
yeah. Yeah. So when you were asking, how do I go about telling women? First, I educate them about having hair, and also make them feel like they really not this. There's a reason why hair is growing, and it's really personal. It's up to you. You want to have a beard, that's you having a beard, but you can do something about it, and you don't necessarily have to live with something that you can do something about. And then that's when I'm saying culturally in Zimbabwe, I get it. It's a culture thing, and before you know it, you have to also kind of dance around the culture a little bit and then get them to take off their hair.
Way back in the 70s or 80s, what we just used to do was put a little bit of Pond's powder on your face, so that you're not shiny. And that's as far as it went. And then got into the 70s and started doing eyebrows and, a little bit of eyebrows there and doing your nails and stuff like that. But now, I mean, you go home and this is each time I go home, I see these young girls fully done, man, fully done and
100%.
looking
Yeah.
amazing.
And
Things have
that
changed
all
a lot.
Yeah, that all stemmed from 15 years ago. There was nobody that was putting on bright lips.
Hmm.
Volt Cosmetics, which is my business that started in Zim, we introduced all those things. We introduced and said, hey, you can put on lips, bright lips, you can contour, you can do your eyebrows, because I remember only in Zimbabwe when my parents were growing and would go to anagrataments, only the rich people could have those things, right?
And a
But
lot of them were really not specifically for
us,
people of color. It was really
no,
the powder, the foundation, and
yeah,
it really was for Caucasian, not
Caucasian,
for black people. Yeah.
100%. The only thing that you were buying, yeah, there was you were buying fragrances and maybe lotion, and that was it. So 15 years ago, when I started Volt Cosmetics in Zimbabwe, I came in, I said, listen, I have made a foundation for you. I have
Mhm.
made lips that look great on our lips. And it is okay to wear lips because I even remember my dad hated me wearing any makeup whatsoever. And because he would say it was for women of the night. But it's
I know
when,
it's association of these things, like you were saying. Sometimes people look at it as women who put on red nails. I mean, when we were growing up, those were women we saw on TV and usually associated with loose women who smoked, who,
yes,
you know, and when we're alone in our rooms, we'll take, and do, and put it on there because you wanted to look like what you saw, right? But
yes.
now, I was going to ask you to talk to me about Volt, about your company, but you jumped into it, which is fine.
Right.
So, what's the range you have with Volt,
Oh,
and
we have every
where can people buy
right. So
your makeup? Do you have your studios, different studios or stores, or
we
what's going?
So our main products are foundation, powder, eyebrows, lips, blush, right? Those are the main things in eyeshadow. Those are the main products that we have, which is basically everything, right? Um,
Yeah.
and so online, you can purchase online. We actually have a lot of people in Canada that order from us, so you can buy it online. And in Zimbabwe, we have a brick and mortars, and we also in pharmacies. You can buy them there. Most of our business is in Zimbabwe. We used to be in Kenya, and then COVID happened, and but we're about to talk to them again, so we can go back to Kenya.
Okay.
And in a couple of months, I'm relaunching the foundation, which I create with my chemist here in LA. I don't go to China and get it from China. I mean, the people that follow me on my social media, they see me in the factory sometimes, and you can see me making the product. So everything that I'm
How
wearing,
many shades? How many shades do you have?
we have 12.
Okay,
Yeah, we have a
from
lot of
dark
shades.
dark to
Yes, to the lightest. So right now we phasing out the old foundation, and then we phasing in the new foundation. So online, I cut it off because a lot of explanation that I'd have to do. In Zimbabwe, we still have it going on. Yeah. So now we're about to relaunch online. I'm very excited.
Well, I mean, I'm really, I follow you as well on, so your some of your social
Social
media.
media.
Yeah, and one time you were giving clinics to girls from Chitungwiza on
Yes.
or on how to do makeup and stuff like that, which I think is very very good because everybody's willing to learn and
Oh,
they can then
100%.
take it and yeah. Then the other girls were saying, oh, when people are having their weddings, they invite us to help them so that they can look their best on their wedding and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's our biggest thing in Zimbabwe. The makeup studio that I have in Zimbabwe, it's not just a makeup studio, it is
Mhm.
also an educational hub. Because one of the things that I really wanted to do was I wanted to be a philanthropist. And I figured, you know what, if the only way that I can afford to do it is have a makeup studio, and if you want to learn how to do makeup, you come there for free. It's free, actually. For 8 months, you come and learn, and you go off and you become your own makeup artist. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really amazing. You know what? It's now 31 minutes, and like I
Oh
said,
my gosh.
time goes so fast. But I just maybe the next 3 minutes to talk to me about some of the artists that you've worked with in Hollywood. Because I mean,
Oh
Hollywood,
my,
this is big stuff. It's not like you went to Sam Levy's. Who you work in Hollywood, you live in LA. Tell me some of
yes.
the big stars that you've worked with.
So I've worked with, there's so many stars. Sylvester Stallone. Right now, Gail King is really big. Everybody's talking about Gail King. Gail King.
Mhm.
I work on Food Network. I work on a lot of those chefs on Food Network. I've worked with Jamie Foxx. I've worked with Snoop Dogg. I've worked with a lot. Like if you go online and you just Google Jackie Mgido, my whole resume just comes up.
Wow. That is just
Yes.
amazing. That is just truly amazing. And Jackie, I don't even know how to thank you. I would like to invite you again sometime,
Oh
and then we
yeah.
can talk a little bit more about maybe you could do a few demos on how
Oh,
we
I would
can
love to.
enhance our faces and because
100%.
sometimes we don't know where to start, right? We just wash our
Yeah.
faces and give me some Vaseline, I'm done.
And
But
that's the
yes, we'd
beautiful
like to
thing
let.
about our skin. We can
I
afford to
know,
do
I know.
that.
True, true. Thank you so much. I would like to invite you
Welcome.
again. And for those who are following us, please push the subscribe button and share, comment, and tell us how you feel about what we're talking about with Jackie. And if you find this on my Spiwe Kachidza Mapfumo page, please try and go to YouTube because we want to drive all the traffic to YouTube to get more people there. But I know a lot of people follow me on my Spiwe Kachidza, and sometimes I have it on that platform as well. So please push the subscribe button so that whenever someone is coming up, you know who is coming. So thank you again, Jackie, and for everybody. Good evening. We'll see you again next week with another guest who is an ordinary person doing extraordinary stuff. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.